Hey YouTubers, and welcome back to another episode here on ESGNet for NCAA Football 14, the Highland Scotties Team Builder Dynasty. This is episode 55, and this is off-season part 1 as we just finished up our third season with the Highland Scotties. I apologize first and foremost for this video being so late. No, it's been a while since we've had a episode of the Scotties franchise, or Scotties team builder here on ESGNet. But we are back, and we're getting this series back up and running once again. Happy New Year! Even though we're just several days into the new year, we're back here for another season. As you see, Coach Teddy Bonds there. Of course, his job is safe for the time being. Current record right now for his career at Highland: 37-2. He has 11, and he's 11-1 in top 25 games. There you see his job is secure for right now, and of course, right now everyone is excited and happy about this school because this school has brought another championship to the fold here, as Highland has now won their second championship in 3 years. Yes. So congratulations to Coach Teddy Bonds and company. Of course, there are going to be some changes here, and we'll get to that a little later on here in the video. As you take a look here at some of the bowl games here, I'm not for sure if I showed you guys some of the bowl games here, but for the most part here, there are going to be some changes when it comes to our offensive coordinators and defensive coordinators. Yeah, we've lost both of those guys here this year, but they have found new jobs. And we'll get into that more here in this episode. So, yeah, it's been a while since we had the game. Of course, we had a very good, close game there against Alabama. And we finally defeated them. We finally defeated the evil empire of college football, as Highland got revenge in this third season, facing off against Alabama. Now, remember, the first season of this series, we unexpectedly, it wasn't really, to be quite honest, I'm really surprised it happened, but we were able to defeat, or we were able to get to the national championship, but we were defeated by Alabama, and Alabama was able to defeat us there at the Rose Bowl. But we came back in season 2, won the game, got to the national championship, and won that one against the Huskies. And it was a really fun, exciting game. And this year we won a clincher there against Alabama to win the national championship. So great 3 years so far. And of course, this season we had a lot of seniors that we're going to be playing, maybe for possibly the last time ever in college football. You know, Flanagan and Kason and Little and Page and Blair, Blanco, Marquette, and Sheldon Sherman, all those guys are, of course, going to be possibly leaving Highland and moving on maybe to the pros, or just moving on in life in general. And of course, there's going to be a big hole, especially in our defense here coming up. As remember, that defense that we've had for the last 3 years were there from the very beginning when we started this series, and now, you know, in the last two off seasons, we've been trying to implement new people in there to the system, you know, some of them we had a red shirt, but you know, of course, after that first year, we had a red shirt, some guys, and the guys that were red shirt that year got to play this past year. So we're implementing new guys in there, and slowly but surely into the system there. And Coach Teddy Bonds knew that was going to be the case, you know, going into season 3, that he really wanted to showcase, you know, some of his top talent. But he knew that, you know, having those, you know, a lot of those guys, actually pretty much everybody stayed. Everybody, you know, got that taste of the championship glory from last season and decided to stay here for their senior season or their junior season, and you know, wanted to play for Coach Teddy Bonds. And Coach Teddy Bonds was very humble and very, you know, happy to see his guys stick around and whatnot. He made, you know, a few promises to a couple guys there for chances at maybe, you know, we had a couple guys that wanted to go, you know, wanted to I can't really think of anybody wanting to actually leave because of Well, no, I think there was one player that was wanting to leave. I can't remember who it was, but wanted to go pro. We promised him that we could get a better chance for him to go pro, better higher, like a second, third, or third, fourth, or third, second, or even first round pick. So we had, and I can't remember who that player was at all. I want to say it was a wide receiver, but I don't think it was. Maybe it was a defensive guy. But, we'll see that here, too. We'll see what players are going to be leaving here because, like I said, there's going to be a big, big hole, especially defensively, that's we're going to be missing. And, of course, too, we got now some of those younger players that have been waiting, hungry, biting at, chomping at the bit to play. Now, next year, it's going to be their team. And so we're going to be really see if we can find any guys out there that are going to be difference makers, who's going to be a huge impact, because there's going to be a lot of guys in a lot of different positions that are going to be a huge impact coming out there and playing for us for next season. Now, next season schedule has not been officially announced, but I have been saying that we are going to be playing some of the same teams that we played this past year in college football. We do have a game against, I think, what was the other? I know Notre Dame. We are playing Notre Dame again there at Soldier Field for sure. I know that's on the roster. Nebraska, of course, we're going to be hosting them at home. BYU, we're going to be hosting them along with Illinois and also San Diego State. Of course, Illinois and San Diego State have two of our former coaches, offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, David Sahib and Alan Lawrence, who were there on our first season with this squad here, and they of course left in season 2. And they left after season. Yeah, they left after season 2, and now are head coaches for their own teams now. Those Illinois and San Diego State. So we'll be playing against those, and those two teams will of course be we'll be hosting them in those two games. Other teams that we're going to be looking at here, possibly, we are going to be looking at some of our teams that we'll be facing quite often in the near future in season 5. Because season 5 we are going to be in the Big 12. We already officially announced that, I think, several episodes ago, along with BYU. So we're going to be facing Kansas and Kansas State there on the road. Meaning we're going to go to Aggieville and to Lawrence, Kansas, in 2 of those games next season. Along with, I believe we just announced that we are going to be playing against Georgia Tech. And we are going to play in the rematch with Ole Miss. Remember that game right there this past season was a good one there. It was a nail biter, but we were able to get that victory there at home as we were able to host Ole Miss back in week 9. 35-26, the victory there for us. It was a nice one there, and so we're going to be able to play them next season there in Oxford. So that should be a fun one for us next season. And those are just some of the games that so far we've announced, or at least now we're announcing here officially for next season. But we are looking at a couple, maybe a chance. So we got some other open dates here. We're looking at possibly playing against a Big 10 school. We're looking at 2 Pac-12 schools that we're looking at. So if there's any schools you think we should be going, try to go head-to-head with next season, let me know down below in the comment section. Maybe we could put those teams onto our schedule there. But of course, everybody is talking about the big game against Notre Dame next year. Next year, Highland will be the home team there at Soldier Field. So we'll be as the host team in that stadium. Of course, Nebraska is a big game we're looking at here. That's going to be really fun. And of course, playing against our 2 former offensive coordinators is another big game there. Now, I did mention that we're going to be losing our current offense and defensive coordinators, and we'll tell you about where they're going here in just a bit. But right now we're taking a look at the conference standings there, And there's some pretty good, teams out there that we could have for next season that we could be facing. And I have been looking at some of the schedule or some of the what the records are for some teams there that and also to not just look at the records, but also looking at the rosters for those teams that I've or at least some of the schools that we've been looking at for playing against teams from the Big Ten, from the Pac-12 there for next season. And there's a couple of good names out there that we could be playing against. I know personally I wouldn't mind going out to USC, maybe play against them, a school like that, or maybe we already played Stanford already twice there, so that wouldn't because we played them in season 1 and season 2, so that wouldn't work. I was really thinking about maybe Utah or maybe Colorado, something like that. Those are pretty good schools there. Arizona State. I was actually looking at too, because I think they were in the top 25 this season, and they had a pretty good strong showing there towards the end of the season there. They look like a pretty good team to play against. And of course, the next year too, we have a Big Ten. We do want to play against a Big Ten team. Ohio State, of course, Michigan, and Michigan State will be also another teams that we can possibly play. We're also looking at Iowa, another team, Wisconsin. I think we've already played against them already, if I'm not mistaken. No, we haven't, but also Minnesota. So those are some teams right there that we could possibly try to go head-to-head with, and we'll see how things go here coming up as we try to get that schedule put together. We'll show you guys that coming up in the next episode, part 2 of the off season here for the Highland Scotties. But there you see some of the Conference USA standings there. UTSA is another good school there that we could play in there. I know that they're not one of the conferences that we were looking at, but maybe one of the smaller conference schools like Conference USA or something like that, we could play it. Because like I said, next season I do want to put a challenge on us. I want us to have some good schools to face against. But at the same time, I want to have that balance. I want to have a strong schedule, but at the same time, I don't want us out there to be slaughtered by other teams. Take a look at here the coaching carousel, and you see LSU is going to be looking for a new head coach. There's they fired their last head coach, and Bill Snyder, he is going to retire there for K-State. So we want to get to play against Bill Snyder next year, which is unfortunate. So best luck to Coach Snyder, 71 years of age. So, or Chris, in this version, he's 71. I think right now he's older than that. I think he's close to 80. And it's still going there at K-State. But in this version of this, he decided to retire. Wow, a change of events here. San Diego State has no longer have Coach Alan Lawrence as their head coach. They have now signed. LSU has now signed him. So he's going to be now a Bengal Tiger. So that's going to be very interesting now. That really wants me to play against him now here as he's put LSU. We do have a rubber match. We do have both schools are tied 1 apiece in victories in this series. We played them back in season 1. I think this past season here, I think we played against them, and it was a really good matchup. When we played them, I'm trying to think, when was the last time we played them? It was back in, it was this season. It was back in week 3, and we defeated them. It was a neutral site game at Cowboy Stadium. We beat them 35-0. So I wouldn't mind, and I would be willing to go to there, since they did. We played them in a neutral site game. I was wanting to, make it where I really want to go back there to play them, because remember in season 1, or season 2, I believe it was season 2, we played them and we lost in an overtime game there. So that was a change. Now, Chris Ash, one of our defensive he's a former coordinator for us. I think he was a defensive coordinator. He is now going to be there for the Arkansas Razorbacks. He's going to be the head coach there. I believe also you've seen there one of our offensive coordinator. He is now going to be at another school. I can't remember what it was there, but you guys seen it. So we do have some coaching changes here that we are going to have to address, and we'll show you guys who our new our coordinators are. But there you see some of the guys there that are going to be looking like they're going to leave. Rush is declaring for the NFL. He's projected the 5th round. To be quite honest, I really hope that he does not want to do that. So we're going to talk to him, and we'll get to that here in just a bit. But there you see, surprisingly enough, there are some surprising names. A 1st round draft pick for Alex Flanagan. Seriously, the way he was playing this year towards those last couple of games there, I was thinking he was going to be a 3rd round guy, but they say he's going to be a 1st round guy, and that's really surprising to me. I can see Little and Blair be a 1st round guys. I would say maybe a late round 1st round pick. I was seeing them more of a early 2nd round pick, but I can see them being a late 1st round pick for a team out there. Ashley, Golden, Curtis, there are I would say they're probably late 1st round, early 2nd round draft picks there. Sheldon Sherman, 3rd round pick. Now that right there to me is a slap in the face, because that young man for the last all 3 seasons has been just playing some really good football there. He may not be the strongest, lineman, edge rusher out there or the best out there, but he should be at least a solid 2nd round guy. But they have a 3rd round. Cannon also too, another guy that I just kind of shook my head at. I'm like, no, he has to be a 2nd round guy. But they decided to put him in a 3rd round. And then remember, these are just projections. We'll go on down to the line here, and we'll see some of our guys that are going to be graduating there. And of course, one name that's not going to be recognized at all. He did win the Heisman Trophy, and that is Kason, and he looks like he is not going to enter the draft. Now, if you remember in the old Madden games, you remember you could take these players here and move them on to, I think it's Madden 25, and I'm thinking about actually doing that to see where they actually go to, and I'll give you guys an update on that, on those guys and whatnot. But just because they say they're graduate does not necessarily mean they're going to actually they wouldn't go if you transfer them over to Madden. They wouldn't be in a draft, mock draft or anything like that on there. Be in the game, because there's a good chance they could be. But usually if they say graduate, they're probably going to be a undrafted type player that you can go after or whatever, undrafted free agent or something like that. So I will definitely let you guys know, because I am deciding I'm possibly in the works of making a short-lived series with Madden 25 using some of these players in it, and that's something I'm kind of looking at right now. But we'll take a look here, and I believe we're talking to Rush. Now, Rush is a guy that I really think next year could be our leader, because he had some pretty good games there when Flanagan wasn't playing so well. But he believes he wants to declare now, and they say he could possibly be a 5th round guy. And we just go ahead and decide to talk to him. We're going to say, you could be a 2nd round guy. So he decides he's going to stay. He's going to try to work on building his stock up for the NFL draft next season. Now, remember, he's a junior red shirt player, so he could stick around for another year if we really want him to stick around even longer. He is a red shirt guy, so he still has next year and even a year after. And then this one, surprisingly enough, Jonathan here, he decided not to stay here because he feels like he can get a better opportunity somewhere else. He's going to go to UAB as a transfer. So Porter is going to leave us. Now, I don't understand this. Why would you want to leave when you know that our receiving core, he has a shot to be one of our top one, not the top receiver, but a receiver. He gets playing time. And I just don't understand that, why he wants to leave there. Meaning that, he leaves next year, or, he goes to a school for next season. That means he's going to have to sit out a year, meaning he's going to be redshirted, and maybe that's what he thinks, but he would be starting for us next season. He really would. I looked at the depth sheet, and he would be starting for us next season. He wouldn't be he would be a fourth wide receiver, but I would put him in there because he knew coming into this that he was not going to be a starting position right off the bat. He would come as a backup, and he had some playing time as a backup when the score was when the scores ran up or whatever. But I just don't understand why he would want to leave when he knows that there's an open. It's pretty much an open audition for next season from wide receivers. I mean, there's a couple of guys that were backups or second string guys that'll definitely get a start. But for Porter, he would have been one of those guys that would got a start there for us this season. But he decides he wants to go back home closer there, and I believe he's from around the Florida, around the Gulf area. So he's going to go to UAB. And he's going to have to sit out now for a season for that transfer there, and he can play there. So hopefully, we wish him the best of luck there. But when I seen that, I just kind of shook my head. I could not believe that when that was made the announcement at the press conference there that he was wanting to leave. So there you see, of course, Sheldon Sherman, like I said, talented left end there. But very sad to see him go, but at the same time, he is going to be I can see him being a very successful and dominating left in there. Maybe not the first season or two, maybe his third or fourth season in the league, but he is definitely going to be a name that's going to be a household name. I really do see that coming up here in the near future. Of course, Hunter Cannon, there you see, 92 overall. He's a projected third round player there that we'll see hopefully in the near future. Now I have been thinking about this, and I decided that during the hiatus here for the series, I decided to go ahead and create a draft class. So a lot of these guys you'll see here will be in the next draft class. Coming up in the Giants franchise here, so that's gonna be really fun. Also, too, there could be a series on one of these players in the near future on Madden 25 with a draft series or draft class that I did create. That it's gonna be kind of like a standalone series where we basically just follow. I was thinking about maybe following that class. So picking like a couple of guys, maybe 2 guys from offense, 2 guys from defense that we could follow and see what they do through the course of their career. Kind of like a simulation thing where we just follow their career. The only thing we do is we help build the team. So I would basically go in there and take charge of the team and just build, not necessarily play the games, but sim them. And just show you guys their stats and what they did in that game and whatnot, and kind of just, play or either play as the team as a whole, or play as them in it, but not actually like play in it. Like it just be a sim-based type of series. And I've been really thinking about doing that here for some of the Highland players, and we could do that here, not just for these guys, but future players here on the channel. Maybe even your player that you guys can submit, and I'll talk about more about that here in just a few minutes here. But take a look here. That's what the draft results look like. Flanagan went first round. Blair went first round. Now, of course, this is if they were into Madden. I think it's Madden 25, the game that was correspondent with this NCAA football game back in 2013. But yeah, this is the setup right here. So Blair would have went first round, it seems like. Curtis, one of our right guards there, would have went first round. He's won several offensive lineman awards. Little, one of my favorite wide receivers I think I've ever seen in college football games I played. Of all the times I've been playing NCAA, he's been by far one of my favorite to play. He's just been amazing, just those one-hand catches, and just not the fastest guy, but definitely can make some really, spectacular catches there and whatnot. And then of course you see Blanco, one of my favorite defensive guys there in the secondary, along with of course Sherman. He does go 3rd round. Page goes third round. He's a wide receiver there, another great wide receiver that we had this season. Hunter Cannon, 3rd round. Now, one of the guys I've been thinking about doing a series that sim-based series of just certain superstars. This is one of them. Sheldon, or not Sheldon. Besides Sheldon, but also Hunter Cannon is one of them. I really want to do a series on. So, but I don't know. I'm really thinking about. I'm trying to think of different ideas we can do for that series, and I'll let you guys know how that's going to turn out. But I know for sure they will be a part of the draft class in the Giants franchise after a season. As soon as we get done with the first season, they'll be in that next draft class in there. So you'll see some of those. And eventually I will release those if you guys want that draft class of some of these players from this series. They'll be in that draft class, and I'll release it to you guys so you guys can have them on your Madden franchises or whatever like that. So I'll let you guys know how you guys can get all that here very, very soon. But for the most part here, looks like, pretty much everybody went pretty much the same way they were projected out to be. So that, that's pretty much how that went. And like I said, we got some big holes to fill here in different areas on our team there. Let's see here. Oh, but we do one good outlook of this. We do have one. This will be our first player ever to transfer in. Mark Barclay. He will come in, and he'll be a 55 overall player. He's a right outside linebacker there for us, and he looks like he wants to. He likes what Highland's been doing, so that's awesome to see. This is our first ever transfer to come to our school, so this is awesome, and I cannot wait for that to happen. So thank you, Mark Barkley, for coming in to be a part of the squad. And I guess he knows that there's a spot available there. He's going to fight for one of the spots on the secondary there for us, and we'll see how that goes here coming up in the next episode. So coming up in the next episode, we'll have recruiting. We'll finish up recruiting there. I have the recruiting board all set up for us and whatnot. We got a couple. I think we have like 7 or 8 more scholarships to go for, and once we get those scholarships taken care of, we'll be ready to go, and we'll get that going. Of course, also too, we'll have well, I'll talk more about how you guys can submit your player into being into the series. There actually will be a video after this episode about that, how you guys can submit your player to be into this year's recruiting class. And of course, you guys already know about that, how that works out. But I'll explain again in that video how you guys can be a part of this series in that way. And also, there's another way you guys can, pretty much you guys can guarantee you guys will be a part of the Highland Scotties series, and that's being part of our Patreon, and I'll explain about that in that video also. So there is a link to our Patreon here on the bottom of the there in the description section. Check that out. You guys can be a part of the Patreon. You don't have to be. It's nothing required. You don't have to do it. But if you guys want to make sure you want to be a part of this series, or really any of the series here on the channel, this is the best way to do it. And if you guys can get as little as $1 every month to support the channel, that goes a long way, and you get quite a few good perks and whatnot to be a part of it and everything. So thank you guys so much. Stay tuned for more of the Highland Scotties, as we're going to wrap up the second half of this off season and show you guys the the recruiting board, what we're doing for recruiting wise, and of course what our schedule looks like. Most importantly, everybody wants to know what our schedule is going to look like, where we're going to be ranked for next season. What is going to be our ranking since we're losing so many people? We'll have to find out and see coming up in the next episode. So that's it for this episode of the Highland Scotties Team Builder Dynasty here on NCAA 14. If you guys enjoyed today's episode, please leave a like. Don't forget to subscribe. Hit that bell notification if you have not yet, so you guys can be notified of when this series or any other series here on the channel is updated or uploaded here onto the channel. Not to mention, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Discord, and remember, on Patreon if you want to be be a patron of this channel here on YouTube. Thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, keep yourselves healthy, and I will see you guys next time.